Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is February 10, 2022, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, gold breaking above 1828 resistance. That's a big deal. Now, first, looking at the major economic events of the day out of the United States at 3:30 South African time, core price index number coming out. That is the major inflationary report of the month. So it's an important number coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the four symbols, pretty much the major pairs remain flat. Not much activity there. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones did bounce further yesterday, and the NASDAQ pretty much unchanged, which is kind of like giving us some indication. Now, looking at commodities, gold breaking higher while oil pretty much unchanged. And looking at the stocks, Facebook yesterday bounced off a very key level. Okay, we're going to take a look at that. And lastly, Bitcoin still unchanged. So market's kind of tapering off. But let's look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're looking at a daily chart of the Eur Usd. Look at this tight range, 40 pip range right here. Not doing much, okay? There's not much really to do here, as this is hit resistance and not really hitting any kind of support anywhere soon. So, looking at a weekly, but let's look at a 4-hour chart just to give us perspective. That's not trading. That you cannot trade that, all right? If we did break higher, it'd be a little bit interesting. Maybe we will get that breaking higher if the CPA number comes out really bad in the United States. Maybe the euro will get stronger. Now, looking at the GBP USD on a daily, same story. Really not doing much here. Look at that. We're looking at a 1-hour chart just to give us perspective. And Aussie dollar, just a little bit more activity, but again, not that much. 20 pip range, okay, did rally higher, but it's still just a 20 pip range from yesterday. So not really anything to write home about. Now, jumping in commodities, this is where it gets very interesting, because this was where we said that possibly you'd think that it's going to break out higher because it did make these upper highs here at 1793, and sure enough, we're at 1834. We have bona fide resistance between 1840 and 1870, somewhere within that range. So in all intents and purposes, I'm not convinced this is going to break out to 1900 per se, okay? However, this could be potentially a good trade. If it does falter here at 1840-ish level, I'd start getting a little bit short here as it continues to get into this upper range. Now, if it breaks above 1870, then all bets are off, okay? Because at that point, it's showing us that it's really getting very strong. So keep that in mind and keep this on the radar, because this could really develop into a great trade. Now, looking at oil, trading at 89.84, not doing much, a really very tight range, 20 cents range. So not really bringing anything back home. However, looking at the Dow Jones here, yesterday, we moved out higher. Okay, first looking at the NASDAQ, we moved out higher yesterday, but still not getting that type of bounce that I'd like to. Okay, we should be in like the 15,500, 600-ish level, but we're not. Okay, and this is very disconcerting because it's the high-tech stocks that took us to all-time highs, and they're not producing here. Okay, so this is a little bit, what should I say, a little bit miscommunication with the markets, because when we look at the Dow Jones, it did get a higher bounce, right? It went to 35,682 right now, went all the way to 700-ish level. Okay, so let's see if we can extend that gain today, but otherwise this potentially could be a good resistance-ish level. Okay, this was a decent buying opportunity yesterday once it broke above the 30-day. We had actually anticipated it was going to break lower, but it didn't, okay? And maybe it's just perking itself up before this CPI number. Who knows, okay? But play the levels, because resistance is resistance and support is support. So just keep that in mind, that this was previous resistance, back in October of 21. So this could potentially still be a second level of resistance, okay? So keep that in mind as this unfolds later today. Now, looking at the individual stocks, Apple did get a little bit of a bounce, 175.89. Facebook got a decent bounce. If you look at a 4-hour chart, you could see that a little bit better. I mean, that's, relatively to its 100-point, coming down. This bounce is a bounce, okay? But it came at a key level, and this is what I'm trying to say to you, is that if it, look at this level that it came, and we're looking at a weekly, which makes it even more important, right? That was your resistance, and that was your potential bounce, and sure enough, that's what we're getting here. So keep that in mind. If this does continue to break down, though, we could see it really break further down. Looking at Microsoft, got a little bit of a bounce, nothing really to write home about. Tesla also really unchanged here. Look at that, $930 a share and not moving higher. JP Morgan continuing its grind up, okay? But keep this in mind, okay? This did have a major retracement here, so we're about 50%, okay? This is usually how it goes. When we have this type of dip from here to here, it usually bounces about 50%, and that would be right here. This would be the 50%, okay? So keep that in mind, as this potentially could go down here later today, okay? Lastly, looking at Bitcoin, really unchanged at 44,000. Yesterday we were at 43,600-ish level. Tapering off here from its nice bounce, okay? Needs to sustain this type of area for it to possibly even go higher. So keep that in mind for later today. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.